Assalamu alaikum everyone. First of all, I would like to thank HubDaily for inviting me today. My name is Muhammad Asad Kamal. I'm a doctor in training. Yeah, I'm doing family medicine specialist training program in the UK. It's been a couple of years in the UK now. Um, I was raised in a country called Oman. I'm originally from Pakistan, so I'm a born Pakistani. But I spent most of my life in Oman. And I graduated from the National University of Oman, which used to be Oman Medical College. Now it's a university. Um, and I spent a couple of years of my life in Canada as well. I moved to Canada back in 2014. Did some Canadian medical exams. Unfortunately, things didn't work out for me there, so I then had to go for UK. And Alhamdulillah, now I'm doing my training over here, and after 3 years, I'll be a qualified family physician. Doctor wasn't my childhood dream. I would say, I developed more interest in it as the time went by. So I developed interest in medicine with the time. Uh, my parents are both physicians. My dad is a general physician and my mom is a gynecologist. My dad is still working, my mom's not working now. Uh, but then they used to work in the same polyclinic. So, my dad runs a private polyclinic, and our apartment literally used to be next, back in the days, it used to be next to, where the polyclinic is. So I was always in the clinic. And I think that's where I started developing an interest in medicine. So it's just with the time, really. By the time I was in high school, I already knew that I wanted to go for medicine. So it was not really since childhood. It was more in my teenage years when I started to think of it, and then I just went for it. So um, there was the only medical school in Oman which is giving admissions to non-Omanis is Oman Medical College. That's what it was called back in the days. Now it's National University, as I mentioned. It's called National University of Science and Technology, Oman. So, yeah, I just went for medicine, and here I am. So, COVID. Um, I think it has been tough for all of us in general, especially for doctors on the front line. Those who are working in A&E, or those who are dealing with the severe COVID patients. Um, and for me, it's something which I would never imagine experiencing. That's how it is. Um, Pandemic. The word itself. I've heard of it. It's not that I've not heard of it, but being in a pandemic, you can never imagine that. So I still remember, December of 2019. Uh, it was my annual leave, and I was in Oman, to see my family. It was just a 10-day off, so I just went to see my family, and that's the time I heard about COVID in the news, and at that time it was just confined to China, in Wuhan, and everybody was just making fun of it. They were like, "Oh, it's just going to affect China. It's just going to stay in China. Oh, we have these new viruses in China every now and then," and nobody thought that it would be such a huge thing, and the entire world is going to be affected by it. In fact, uh, Europe and other countries, including Pakistan, are more affected than China. I mean, China, things are almost back to normal, but in other countries, we are still suffering. So nobody thought it would be this big. So there was a lot of uncertainty, I would say. Uh, when I came back to the UK, I was in A&E at that time, so I was doing like a SHO job, a senior house officer job, uh, in accident and emergency in London, and of course I was on the front line, so I was dealing with all these very sick patients, severe COVID cases, and the way we started off was by testing only people from particular countries. So there was a time when we were testing people just from Italy and Spain and there were a couple of other countries, which were high risk, and we were testing people from these countries, and then what used to happen was that we would just put them in like a separate isolation room. They were like dedicated. So it that's how it was in the beginning, and then as the time went by, we had to then divide our accident and emergency department into a cold area and a hot area. So the hot area used to be for all the COVID patients, and the cold area used to be for all the normal cases. Uh, and then I remember there was a time when the entire A&E was hot. So basically, the entire A&E was then converted into uh, an area for COVID patients, and only a very small part of, I would say, our pediatrics department, A&E department, was then converted into A&E for cold cases. So those who are not COVID positive, or those who are not COVID cases. So it was quite hard. It was quite challenging. Wearing that PPE. Those masks. They're not very comfortable, as we all know. I mean, we all talk about wearing the surgical face mask. Imagine wearing, the respirators, the FFP3 masks, and working with them, during the entire duration of the shift. So 9 hours, 10-hour shift, and you're wearing that mask, and you're wearing a visor, and then you're wearing that special suit. So you're wearing your PPE, and you're working in that. Uh, it's not a pleasant experience. It's very uncomfortable. Um, and then when you're having back to back severe cases, so there was a time when literally every 5 minutes we would have a blue light. So every 5 minutes we are having a blue light emergency, and our A&E research room was literally full with patients. Like, uh, it's supposed to be for 5 patients really, so there are 5 bays, and then we had to further subdivide those 5 bays into like two each, so we can make room for more patients. um, Now I know, like, you know it's kind of hard to to digest all this. For me, as a doctor, as a human being, I would have never imagined myself in this situation. And then, I was all by myself in London. So uh, I have friends, but I've only known them for a few months. So I didn't have any family over here. So all my family was back in Oman. So, and then all these travel restrictions were coming into place, and I remember booking a ticket to Oman again, like it was in a couple of months' time, because before the pandemic I used to visit my parents every 6 weeks, and I booked a ticket and got cancelled, um, and I received a refund for that after a year. So, and that was literally a few weeks ago. So it was really hard, living by yourself, not knowing what would happen tomorrow, and what if you get COVID. So what if you get really bad with it? Because to be honest, I've seen people, young people, I've seen people from all age groups, or elderly, young, middle-aged people, everyone, literally everyone has been affected. Uh, and so, saying that only people from certain age groups, get the severe form of infection, I think that's not true, because I've seen literally all age groups being affected, and that was the challenge. First of all, managing them, and then taking care of yourself. So taking care of your health, making sure you don't get it, and if you get it, you have to take care of yourself. Knowing that you don't have any family over there, so what would happen? So I was scared, I was nervous. From inside, I had a lot of questions in my head for which I had no answers to, and there was a lot of uncertainty. But we made it through, Alhamdulillah. It was quite tough, but we made it through. And then even we had the second wave after that, and during the second wave, uh, I was in my training program, um, and I was dealing with cardiology patients, sick cardiology patients at that time. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, when I look back, um, and see, it's amazing how, I've come through all that. And if I was to think of, all this at that time, at that particular moment, I would say, you know, I had no idea whether I would be able to go through all this, and it's been a year now. Um, yeah, so Alhamdulillah, I didn't get COVID till this date. So all my antibody tests and all the swab tests have been negative. I finally managed to see my family after a year. That was back in January this year. Um, but yeah, I haven't got COVID until now. I did get the vaccine. Um, so yeah, and I know a lot of people lost their jobs, and it has been a lot of you know mental stress. Lots of people have got mental health issues because of this. Uh, Not only because someone lost their job, but it's just the restrictions. You can't go out, you can't see your family, you can't see your loved ones. uh, you're just confined to your home, all these lockdowns every now and then. So it has taken a toll on people's mental health. And even me personally, I did break down a couple of times. There were times when I would just sit in my room, crying, and you know I I like letting it out. So I know I would feel better, when I cry. I know there's nothing I can do about that. I just have to face it and I have to go through it. And that's what I did really. And here I am. I'm surviving, and a lot of people survived. But a lot of people, they got really bad with it as well, and they're still suffering. Mm, I just pray that things get better now. Now with all the vaccines roll out. There is some light at the end of the tunnel. So let's hope for the best and fingers crossed. Now, regarding the new variants, there are quite a lot of variants to be honest. People don't know about them. I mean, a lot of people think there's only like three or four variants, but uh, even I was shocked, when I was reading about it. There were like there are like more than 15 variants at the moment, for coronavirus. And I know the more concerning ones are the UK, a couple of UK variants. There's a South African variant, and now they're talking about a double mutant variant from India. So yeah, I mean, this is how viruses are. This is virology. Anybody who has basic knowledge about virology would know this, that this is how viruses evolve. So as the time goes by, they mutate so that they can become more transmissible and less virulent. So that's how it goes. So I think what's gonna happen is we are just going to need COVID vaccines every year, like the flu vaccines. Um, we all know about flu, right? I mean, the seasonal flu, and we get a new vaccine every year. It's advised that you get a flu jab every year. Why? Because the virus mutates, so there's a new strain every year. The same goes true for COVID now. So although we have this COVID vaccine now, but there's no guarantee that this will protect us from the future variants next year, which might. COVID is not going anywhere. It's not that the virus is going to disappear all of a sudden. That just doesn't happen. Uh, but what's going to happen is the COVID vaccine is going to be something like the flu vaccine now, and we are going to get it like every year. So the other thing is about social distancing and face masks. Although I know we might not be able to practice social distancing, but uh, I think face mask is something we all can do, and hand hygiene, of course. So hand hygiene and face mask, those are two things along with the vaccine. I think that's going to be the key. um, and Yeah, I mean, that's the way to go about it really. And that's how we are going to deal with this. If we are thinking that things will go back to how they were pre-pandemic, exactly how they were pre-pandemic, I think I think we are just giving ourselves false hopes. It would take some time for us to get back to like pre-pandemic situation. So I think there will be like a new normal now, and the new normal will be us wearing face masks. Although we might not have all these restrictions because the economies are suffering, people are suffering, so we cannot have like an endless cycle of lockdowns and travel bans and all, because people have to travel, and some of the travel is really essential travel. So you cannot ban travel forever. You cannot stop businesses forever. So I think those are the things that might change in future. But I think what's going to continue is hand washing, um, wearing face masks in public, and social distancing where possible, and vaccines, of course. So getting a vaccine doesn't mean that you won't get coronavirus again. It only means that it's protecting you from the severe form, so that when your immune system is exposed to coronavirus, it knows how to deal with it. So it's not new to our immune system. So that's the idea behind vaccines. The idea behind vaccine is not that you get a vaccine and you're protected from COVID for forever and you won't get it, and then you can just go around without face mask, and you have people coughing on your face and you won't get it. No, that's not how it is. So the idea of vaccines is that you get the vaccine so that your immune system is aware. The next time you get actual COVID, you won't get really bad with it, uh, and you won't be hospitalized. You'll just get some mild symptoms, and hopefully you'll be all right. So that's the main idea behind vaccines, and that's the main idea behind the flu vaccine as well. So people don't get flu vaccine, to protect themselves from flu forever. People get flu vaccine. The idea of flu vaccine is that if you then get flu, it would be only mild symptoms and you won't get hospitalized and you won't die of it. So that's why you get a flu vaccine. So that's how I think the COVID vaccine is going to be in future. All right, talking about myths. This is my favorite topic, to be honest. I can talk a lot on this. There are lots of myths, and thanks to social media, uh, I've seen all sorts of stuff on social media. The vaccine does this, it affects your fertility, it does that, and this thing around blood clots, and then the COVID itself causing stuff. Now, let's just clear all those myths. I'll try my best, to clear some of those myths. Now, what I say to people is that common sense is a sense that is not common. So we need to use our common sense. Not everything we see on the internet is true. Not everything we read on the internet is true. And a lot of people, think that's how things get viral. Someone can just mention something and then it just goes on and on and on, and that's it. Some people start believing in it just because it got more likes or more comments, or I don't know what. Somehow people start believing in it, and that's where we go wrong, and that causes all sorts of problems. By social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, they are constantly tracking us. So I was surprised the other day. I was looking for. So I'm planning to buy a new car, and I was looking for. I was, just a Google search. So I was just looking for some nice cars, and then the next moment, I see all sorts of car ads and all sorts of car leasing companies ads on my Facebook. So they know what you're searching for. They know, even if this is not something you're looking on Google, you spoke to someone about it, somehow they know that as well, and then you will start seeing suggestions on your Facebook related to that. How does that happen? So that's tracking. we are already being tracked enough. And to be honest, I don't mind being tracked. So what would they track? I'm not doing anything wrong, so they can track me. They can do whatever they want. I don't mind that. So I don't think that, you know, somebody has developed vaccines to insert some sort of chip into us to track us or to change our genome. First of all, it cannot change our genome because, as I explained, the messenger RNA cannot enter the nucleus again. So there's no way it can incorporate into your DNA and cause some sort of change. You know, talk about something or say something that this causes this. We need the concrete evidence for that. So people saying it affects fertility. I need evidence for it. Give me an evidence that those who got COVID vaccines, you know, had their fertility affected. So these are all myths. These are all myths, and myths are most of the time they're not true. They are that's the reason they're called myths. So I don't think that it affects fertility. There's no concrete evidence. Now, vaccines causing blood clots. In the UK, so we had two vaccines mainly that were administered initially. Now we have a third one. There's AstraZeneca, there's Pfizer, and now we have the Moderna, and we will have another one probably very soon. Uh, More than 11 million people received AstraZeneca vaccine, and that includes, it's not just for elderly, that even the middle-aged people as well, they received it as well. And if out of that population, let's say four of them develop blood clots and die of it, does that mean the vaccines cause blood clots? Well, what about the other 11 million people? Uh, why they didn't get any blood clots and why are they still fine? So it's not the vaccine. Uh, yeah, I mean, they might have something else that might have triggered a hypercoagulable state causing blood clots in 4 out of 11 million people that got that vaccine. So are you going to, you know, stop giving that vaccine just because it caused blood clots in those 4 people? So I mean, here we talk about risks and benefits. So the benefits do outweigh the risks, and that is a significant number. So it significantly outweighs the risks over here. So, I mean, when a vaccine has so many benefits, and it's only 4 out of 11 million people that got this, so would you stop the vaccines or would you continue the vaccines? So I'll leave that to you. A lot of people would still think that, you know, we need to stop it, but I think, as a doctor, I think that, you know, when benefits are outweighing the risks, and it's only in like 4 in millions of people, then we still need to go ahead with that vaccine, especially when it's that protective against COVID. Because if we then, so it's about weighing, right? So if we are weighing the number of deaths caused by COVID with the number of deaths caused by the vaccine, you know, not the vaccine, the blood clots, that let's say the blood clots were due to the vaccine, and if we're weighing those two things, so which one will you put on top? So you have to reduce the hospital admissions and you have to get out of this pandemic. So you have to think about that first. And the only way out of that is, you know, administering those vaccines, as I mentioned earlier, that it gives our immune system kind of like an ammunition, you know, to protect ourselves. So the next time when we get that infection, we won't be affected by it as much. And that's the whole idea behind it. So all those people saying it affects fertility, there's no evidence. Blood clots, as I said, benefits outweighs the risks. And then the thing about it incorporating into your DNA, it doesn't. The thing about them inserting chips into us to track us, guys, we are already tracked enough by social media, so let's just stop thinking about that. And lastly, I would say common sense is a sense that is not common. Again, I would say that. So please, please, please use your common sense. And we have been getting these vaccines. Vaccines have been around for ages now. We vaccinated our children. We got vaccinated as kids. So it's not a new concept. So have faith. Have faith in science. Have faith in medicine. And you will be alright. Believe me, you'll be alright. Lastly, my message to the people of Pakistan is that just use your common sense, first of all. Don't believe in everything that is there on the internet. You'll find all sorts of stuff on the internet. Uh, I have always learned to question things. I question things, uh, why they are the way they are. So even if you don't have like advanced knowledge of something, for example, question it, why it is that way. Don't just take it and believe it. Question it. Always question it, and use your common sense. Vaccines have been there for ages. They've been around. We vaccinated our children. We vaccinated ourselves. So yeah, just believe in science. Just believe in medicine, and you'll be fine. We have been fine until now, isn't it? We got all sorts of vaccines. How many vaccines do we get since birth? Uh, I don't know if everyone knows about it, but I think majority would know. We get loads of different vaccines at every month. So from birth till like 6 years of age, in some countries even like as a teenager, you get a vaccine. So how many vaccines we got, and we are okay, we are fine. So just believe in science, have faith in science, and have faith in medicine. You'll be all right. Uh, that's it really, and just take care of yourself. Wear a face mask. That's what I would say. A lot of people say that the surgical face mask, it's not as protective as, and there were videos of people blowing candles with the face mask on. But I mean, you can blow candles even with the FFP3 if you blow hard, because at the end of the day it's just a cloth, isn't it? So you can do that, but that's not the idea. The idea is not that it should be tight enough that you won't be able to blow candles. The idea is that you're protected from the droplets that come from other person's mouth. So it's a droplet infection. So it's basically the barrier. It protects you from those droplets. So if someone coughs on your face, you won't get it, or the chances of you getting it will be extremely low. And when two people are wearing, so if two people talking to each other, they are wearing face masks, uh, the chances of them getting COVID are even lower than if just one person is wearing it. So wear a face mask, wash your hands. I mean, those are the basic things. Uh, just wash your hands more frequently. Practice hand hygiene. Wear a face mask. Get the vaccines as soon as possible. If you haven't got one yet, please go and get a vaccine, and share this with your friends and family as well. Tell them the importance of vaccine. Tell them how protective it is, and this is the only way to get out of this. We all want to get out of this. We are sick of it. I'm sick of it as a doctor. Even though I didn't lose my job, but I'm sick of this lifestyle. I'm someone who loves to travel, so and I'm someone who likes exploring new places. My mobility is restricted because of this now. I can't see my own family, and a lot of people couldn't see their loved ones. A lot of all sorts of troubles have happened because of this pandemic. So let's just get out of it. Go and get the vaccine. Practice social distancing where possible. Wear a face mask in public. I mean, not when you're in your room by yourself, but of course when you're out or when you're with other people. Wear a face mask. Tell them to wear a face mask. Wash hands frequently, and you'll be fine. And finally, take care of yourself, stay safe, stay healthy, and I wish everyone a very, very happy Ramadan. Ramadan Kareem, guys. Take care of yourself.